Into the Nexus is a production of amove.tv. Bookmark Amove TV for other great video games and esports podcasts. Into the Nexus is sponsored by listeners like you via patreon.com/ITN. Welcome back, everyone, to Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. You know, that game you might have forgotten about while you're currently probably leveling through some new zone in World of Warcraft, or maybe enjoying some crazy deck in Hearthstone. But Heroes marches on, and we're here to march along with it. Hi, everybody. I'm Garrett Weinzierl. He's Kyle Fergusson, and we're back.
It's good to be back, Garrett. What a crazy, crazy time to be playing a little free-to-play game called Heroes of the Storm.
It is, man, because I get on and my friends list is it's just a big Warcraft W all the way down. And that's saying something, because the other podcast I do on the regular is about Hearthstone. And it seems like no one's even playing that, and that just had a huge release.
Yeah, Grats, the Turtles, right? Those were Hearthstone first, and the Turtles are now in WoW. So, you know, you made it.
Yep. And who knows? We might get a turtle in Heroes of the Storm. That might be the next Warcraft hero, would be a Tortolan. And by the way, I would be absolutely okay with that. They're rad.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And there is whispers that our next hero might be from this very expansion. And if leaks are to be believed, which often they're not, it's a bizarre time.
Oh, man, keep it going. So far, you've done whispers, Old God reference.
You did leak. I wasn't even going that far.
You did leak. N'Zoth Old God reference because it's water and ocean themed.
It may be maddening. Yeah, no.
It may be maddening. Something about tentacles. Damn, I dropped the ball, man. I was terrible at hacky sack.
I haven't thought about hacky sack in a while. Though you do see it pretty frequently in Seattle. It does happen up here still.
Yes.
No, man, it's fascinating watching. You know, we've been down this road before with StarCraft back in the day. Though StarCraft was fascinated and hypnotized by the idea of making documentaries about itself. I think because it had such a long history. Here in Here's the Storm, a bit of a fresher game, we're all arguing about how we could possibly advertise this game better. What could Blizzard do to bring this into the forefront?
Oh man, I got on the Reddit yesterday and that was the number one upvote. I was just sitting there being like, just calm down, give it a week. Wow, it just had their week, man. Like, that's why I led with, listen, I cover Hearthstone as well. It's a very popular game, has a much larger player base than Heroes of the Storm. And yet, on my friends list, maybe 4 people are playing Hearthstone when I check on it every day. Everybody's playing World of Warcraft. It's a new expansion. It takes, not to belittle any other Blizzard game, but this is old school Blizzard. This is as close to old school Blizzard as we're going to get. A lot of us, especially in our age bracket, grew up with this kind of stuff. So when a WoW expansion comes out, it's a big deal. Like, it affects Blizzard fandom as a whole. Even you new whippersnappers coming in with your Overwatch. Like, you're feeling the ripples across all of Blizzarddom.
Oh, it's the animated Disney movie that just wipes out the box office. It's the Avengers. I mean, you all are sitting, you know, the train, ding, 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 the rails come down, the train's going by, and you're going, there's no street on the other side anymore. This is life. This train will never end. And it will. It'll pass. And the audience will come back. But it is savage. And there are definitely repercussions of World of Warcraft being felt in the Hero League sphere right now. It's easy to say something like, I believe, and I do, it's easy to believe this because I believe it, that people who like the tank support DPS sort of formula are all playing World of Warcraft, and Heroes is left with those who are really passionate about Nova. And so you get no healer comps. You know, like, that's what's happening right now.
That is a link I think you could connect.
I think, too, what a weird time to come out with 3 bans, because we've really restricted the heroes that a Hero League audience will play. And I'm talking about like OP kind of carry heroes like your Genjis and whatnot, things that people would draft in those environments in hopes of playing the sweet hero while still having tanks and supports. And so right now, if you don't play the top 6, which are kind of weirdos, right? Cassia, Phoenix, Jaina, Ana, Johanna. Like, those are the top heroes right now that you're fighting for in a draft scenario. I can't say everybody's passionate about those. Those aren't the carry mindset that so many people have been playing this game for extended periods of time. So it's just a bizarre place. And I fell tragically for a long time over this last week's Hero League until I embraced the Jaina, had myself a great time, and just stopped trusting. Started going for kills myself. Got to win that very first fight. That's what it's about, because guess what? These guys don't want to play the map. They want to play the team fight. Winning that very first fight is the most important thing in the game right now, and that's crazy.
You sound like a villain in most movies where they have minions, and you're just like, oh, you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And he gets into the giant Iron Man armor and goes and tries to kill Tony Stark.
It's true. It's true. You're go, everybody. I peel for you. And you look back and there's no army. No army behind you. You can't be a leader right now. You have to be a survivor.
You either have to be a killer or you have to be ready to save some butts. One or the other. You either got to be a boss support or you got to get some murdering done.
And it's not, it's not one plain sort of thing, but it has to be some shock value, some shock and awe. You got to take him out fast and quick and by yourself.
I think that's fine. Two, I mean, we were pretty excited for third ban. We covered it fairly positively on the show. It's a hindsight thing, right? I don't think anyone was sitting there being like, oh boy, that third ban is coming really close to BFA. That's going to be weird.
No, and certainly like a repercussion that now has had an effect. And I don't know how many Genjis out there who just love Genji to death have just sworn off Hero League because they never get to play the darn guy. Maybe that's happening. I'm certainly not in that boat at the moment, but all these things are culminating into a very small environment where we are seeing repeat names over and over, particularly in my league, and you're kind of going, oh crud, that guy. Oh hey, but that guy. All right, I got 2 of 3.
Yeah. To me, it's looking like things are settling down a little bit. It's a week later, and statistics heroes have not shifted as dramatically as they did while I was out of town.
That's true. And Whitemane has found herself a nice place. People find her very powerful. She's receiving bans, 53% win rate. Chromie settling at that lowest win rate that has ever been.
Yeah, settling at the bottom of the ocean floor.
Below Tassadar for you longtime listeners.
Just love the idea of someone going, huh? Did somebody just say Tassadar?
And what's that? I'm picking Tassadar. Do it. He's good now.
He's better than Chromie. Yes. Yeah, that's just bizarre, man, to think about that, to think about Chromie being at that level.
But this is our free time for so many of us. This is your video game of choice, a passion pick, particularly when we're talking about MOBAs. And once again, I want to start the show off by again, and it pains me to say, because again and again, we got to come back to this. It's patience time again. This isn't the main game at the moment. People are going to come back. Give them 3 weeks even. They come on back out of World of Warcraft. They start exploring other games again. Now, people are looking at League of Legends falling in numbers. People are saying Dota, that's way too hard to learn. Nobody new can learn Dota. People are going to come back, just not right now. When they open that Blizz launcher, guess what? Overridden. In reality, like an ad overrides your entire screen for BFA.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a problem. That's not a lack of care on the designers, certainly not the designers' point, or the marketers' point. It's just patience again.
This is a game that a lot of people pick up for the first time because they are Blizzard fans. And chances are, if you're a Blizzard fan, you're a World of Warcraft fan. And that's fine. Be excited for those people. But you're right, Kyle. You are going to need to be a little bit patient. But boy, the conversation on Reddit just had me giggling yesterday because I thought it was so absurd. Like, oh, we need ads right now. No, you don't. You need them in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right now would be a terrible time. It's a bad business decision.
Only history and age can teach you that those things do not work and that you can just love whatever game you want. And there is esports for StarCraft all the time. If you're still into StarCraft, you can love the heck out of it. Now, if you back the Paragon horse and Fortnite actually ran it over, that happens. But Blizzard is always going to support these games that people are loving. And they have a track record of that. So,
yeah,
no reason to be fearful.
Yep, absolutely. But there's quite a bit to talk about in Heroes World this week. So let's move into this week's news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
Can stitches play now? Point me to the stage.
Gamescom is coming, Kyle. It is on our doorstep. It is less than a week away. It starts next week. Blizzard has a ton of panels, all on Wednesday, August 22nd. And Heroes of the Storm will be getting a big fat spotlight like it's been getting. So what in God's name do we think they're showing?
Well, they got a nice little piece of art up for it, though I doubt they would reveal the character there. You say patience and, hey, wait till next week and you're going to see a big hero announcement. I mean, with Kel'Thuzad being announced last Gamescom, that was 100% a BlizzCon feature that just came out of left field out of a convention like this. So I would expect something pretty hefty.
I mean, Kel'Thuzad was really, at the end of the day, one hero with a bunch of skins, but it kind of ushered us into this new age of mini events in Heroes of the Storm. In between your larger, new battleground or multiple heroes. I'm not sure we'll ever see multiple heroes again. We'll probably see multiple heroes announced at BlizzCon. That's the case, but they're always rolled out one after the other. But yeah, it's got to be the next hero, right? Because there's no way we're seeing another battleground this early.
I'm sure we'll hear about Hanamura's update, perhaps. That might be ready to go. People are saying that if we're going to do the 2-2 kind of situation, Warcraft needs its next map, and that might be sitting there. But I'm more excited to see a hero because they want to be flashy. This is one where they really want to show off how different Heroes of the Storm is than another MOBA. In fact, what a great time to show off that Vikings rework that we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, even though I will still not play them.
Sure.
Yeah, but it can't be a Warcraft hero, right? We can't have 3 Warcraft releases in a row, or can we? What was the longest stint of heroes?
Is that true?
Yrel, Warcraft, Whitemane,
Yeah.
Warcraft. So if this next one is yet another Warcraft, that will be 3 Warcraft heroes released in a row.
Oh, that's right.
Before Yrel was Deckard, so Diablo. Before Deckard was Phoenix, so StarCraft. What was the long... Ooh, we had a stint of 5 Warcraft heroes released in a row, starting in October of 2016 and bringing us into almost February of 2017. And that order was... I didn't even realize this was the case. Samoro, followed by Varian, followed by Ragnaros, followed by Zul'jin, followed by Valera.
Wow.
And I remember people complaining about that at the time.
Well...
Because Valera got announced, people were like, "Oh, now they're a Warcraft hero," and I'm sitting here just like, "Yes, I've got this Valera action figure right here. Yes."
Yeah. Well, and I love Zul'jin. I love Varian. I love Samuro, except for he just wasn't always available.
Fair.
As a draft pick, but. If we're looking at hype, if we're just going the stars aligned and Blizzard planned this perfectly, Diablo, probably the main thing that would really bring kind of the Switch announcement today to the forefront for Heroes.
That, it's a pretty tame announcement. I think we kind of all knew it was coming. So, but I would be down. Who's next from Diablo? What do we do?
I'd kind of like to see the Druid naturally.
Look at you. You'd like to see the druid naturally.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't go for that. But, I mean, that's just because that's been my favorite class there. Whenever I start up D2 again, I just love my druid. Are we missing any D3 classes at the moment? Got Nazebo, you got Johanna.
I don't think so.
Li Ming, Monk,
Yeah.
Pyrazine,
They're all represented.
Necromancer. Yeah.
They're
I don't think I want the Trap Assassin. But that's just me again. Like I know that's me.
yeah. We could just can we just get like just a Diablo monster? Just give me one Goatman to control.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't be the best for a Gamescom announcement, but God, I would love to just be a random Diablo monster. Just be a creepy baby that explodes when it runs at you. That'd be awesome.
Well, I mean, it'd be a little too on point. Here on this Gamescom poster, we have a picture of Ashara with multi-arm, multi-eye, multi-tentacle, basically super Twi'lek.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, I mean, they've never tied it in that nicely.
Yeah.
So I don't, just because of the way that the game and its hero releases and tie-ins to other games have historically gone, which is to say not particularly well tied in, I just don't think that'll be the case. But wouldn't it be awesome if it was? Like, here's your Ajara Warbringer cinematic Warcraft fans. By the way, she's coming to Heroes of the Storm.
What about, who's this goblin down in the left corner? Is that Dr. Boom? He's got little... I mean, clearly not Dr. Boom as I knew him.
It is Dr. Boom as seen in a lot of the key art for the new expansion.
Oh, so he lost his bod?
No, he's got he's in a mech. He's piloting a goblin mech.
Oh. I've watched too much dark fantasy, I guess. Anytime someone gets in a mech, I'm like, guess they died. Nothing's keeping them alive now.
No, just his own personal shredder.
Okay.
Yep. But
I'd be for that. Though I'd be sad that he wasn't part of this whole Shredder middle of the screen Warchrome event.
Oh yeah, fair. Yeah, you could just do a Gazlo skin, make him a Dr. Boom. Yeah, I don't know. If they want to get weird, the first place my brain goes to is Belial, because I don't really know what his kit would look like, and I would assume if the minds over at Heroes of the Storm started tinkering away on a Belial kit, that it would get real weird real fast, in a good way. Like Abathur weird, like Cho'Gall weird. Like, this is the poster child for what makes this game different from the others.
I'd enjoy that naturally. I mean, when you look at D2 bosses for Diablo, they're a mess. They shoot lightning, spit poison, summon spirits that scream at you. Like, when you just try to one-to-one kit them in Heroes, you're like, area effect that deals damage, area effect that deals another type of damage. I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah. Chat room's yelling for Mephisto.
Yeah, that's one. I mean, tell me his kit, because it don't make no sense.
I didn't really play Diablo 2, so I can't help you there. You tell me his kit, Kyle.
I can't. Maybe you open some portals for your brothers?
Yeah. Just make that different from Medivh somehow. I don't know.
Clearly summoners are pretty out, though. That is safe to say.
Maybe, because it sounds like they were playing around with that as a potential for White Mane and then decided to scrap it. So you never know.
Yeah, but I mean, let's again go through the list here. I mean, unless you count Diva's mech as a summonable unit, we're going back to Probius.
Yeah, and he kind of bummed me out because I was hoping for a summoner, and his stuff doesn't stick around.
He's a busy boy. He maybe not relaxing as Abathur is in that way, and
for me, playing Probius is an exercise in holding my breath. Just go. Oh. That's Probius for me. I never warmed up to him. I don't think it's ever gonna happen. Sorry, Probius.
Someday Blackheart's Bay will re-enter rotation for Sirius, and Probius will be king of all.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's also Overwatch, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, and Diablo panels all scheduled for Gamescom. Heroes of the Storm will be the second to last panel going on, and then Diablo will close it out. So seeing as Heroes does not follow the WoW panel, that makes me just also want to cross Azara off the list. I think it's a lot more likely we see a Diablo hero and then lead into the Diablo panel. Because if I was trying to plan it out, I'd be like, yes, that'd be perfect.
Yeah. I agree.
Yep. Also, I don't know what I'm hoping for from the Diablo panel. They just announced the Switch, and I'm like, cool, but it still doesn't link to my Battle.net. So, meh.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. Well, if it does, I haven't seen anyone report on it. Didn't see anything in the official blurb about it. Didn't see anything in articles about it. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they come out on stage and be like, hey, we didn't mention it, but by the way, this is coming. That would get me very excited.
I mean, they put it out today. I think Blizzard is more than aware of people are sick of hearing the Skyrim announcements. So they know how to entertain a crowd at this point.
Oh my God, you're right. Diablo 3 is the Skyrim of Blizzard.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting released on everything.
But they don't make a big deal about it. But every time it happens, Diablo fans say, is that all? Is this all you have for me?
It is true. It is true. But at least they don't go out on like an E3 stage and like, guys, Skyrim. Like, well, I bought it 7 times. Oh, yep. We already kind of talked about the fall of Chromie. She is the lowest win rate hero according to Hotslogs at this moment, and a lot of Chromies seem to be kind of mirroring that sentiment in their overall feelings towards the hero. So that's sad. But
yep, no more bans on old Chromie.
Yeah. But the Western Clash, the second one, has come and gone, and we are left not only a little bit sad if you're rooting for NA, but left with a ton of stats, including a massive pile of unpicked heroes.
Yes. And of those, some freaky names, such as ETC, Kael'thas, Falstad. Like, what world are we living in?
Yeah, it's a mix of. I don't know whether I should be surprised or kind of bummed. Like I obviously want to see roster variants, but at the same time, seeing some of those names that were kind of poster children for professional Heroes of the Storm, seeing them not played is kind of interesting.
Yeah, like Bala being one of the big ones sitting down there that, take us back a year seems kind of crazy. But of course you got, things, just danger picks, Ariel, Kel'Thuzad, things that take too much work, Probius, Rexar. Asmodan, though, perhaps one of the most shocking unpicks, due to our home games anyway. Yeah,
but it doesn't surprise me too much because of the history of specialists in, competitive Heroes of the Storm, outside of, certain notables like Hammer. Someone's going to say Gazlo, but that was like one game, so.
Well, and it's really noted in their comps here. When we look at the number of times certain comps were picked, double tank, double assassin, 47 times. A big majority of the games were double tank, double assassin. Next under that was double tank, assassin, specialist. And when you start reading into that, pick 23 times, you take the specialist because you're doing this double tank assassin carry thing and you want to fill out the lane clear outside of it. And below that was tank triple assassin at 5 picks. So definitely double tank for the masses, but because of our population at home right now, the number of players that are playing, perhaps the number of tank mains who are left in this game and didn't go off to World of Warcraft, we are certainly at home in a solo tank meta.
Yeah. Plus, a large chunk of that specialist stats are Sergeant Hammer.
Yeah, lots of Hammer. Actually, part of the most populars in that 50% so.
Yeah.
But there are names that, you may assume were in the unpicked list, and I'd like to counter you here because there was games with Chromie, Diva, Cho'Gall, Gazlo, Illidan, and Samuro.
Yep.
Gazlo lost. Just sorry, spoiler alert. Gazlo didn't win this game.
Yeah, it didn't go too well. But the Illidan pick was the one I saw the most buzz around. Like all the Carbot animation gifs just all over the place. People were losing their mind about that one.
I mean, to be fair, Illidan probably has the best gifs on the internet.
Yes.
Since I am my scars, it's been good.
Yeah. My favorite thing to look at though is win rate for popular heroes. Because you can look at someone like Yrel, for example, who is the most popular hero coming out of Western Clash, tied with Diablo, but has a 40% win rate.
Yeah. I agree. A little passive now.
I was about to say, didn't you, like 2 weeks ago, say you were hanging up your hammer?
Yeah, we had to. You know, the damage and impact had decreased. The sudden shock healing of throwing out another heal had lost its luster. And really, I mean, just being a great solo laner right now isn't gonna cut it.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of Diablo, he's below 50%, but not nearly as low as Yrel. He's sitting at 47% coming out of the Western Clash. But then kind of an in and around there, Medivh, who's very high in the popularity, only a 42% win rate.
Also a specialist.
Yeah, that's another kind of responsible, again, for inflating those specialist numbers. Deckard, very, very popular, 45% win rate.
It's actually kind of shocking how much Deckard has been affected by his healing nerf. And that's all he needed, really. Now that his healing is down, it takes more mana for him to heal. And that exchange has cost Deckard his win rate, and he is now below 50%.
Yeah, and then you can just kind of look at it and like, well, what took his place? And just Malfurion. Malfurion has just risen to the top. Malfurion is on the opposite end of that spectrum, being one of the most popular and one of the highest win rates. Actually, I think it is the highest win rate at 68%. If we're looking at heroes that actually saw multiple picks, Cho and Gall have a 100% win rate, but we're in one game.
Right, Malfurion, our second lowest healer at home, but when we're looking at throughput for pros, Malfurion is kind of king of the numbers right now. At home, Whitemane, Lily, Ana. These easy and engagey heroes.
Say Ana is easy?
I know, that felt like a mistake for a moment, but actually, with time passing, Ana's application of her counters with Grenade has become really cutthroat. And, you know, one reason I'm, kind of off of support right now is because I don't want to play Ana. I don't want to miss my heal and go and know in my heart it just breaks in half because I just lost the fight because I couldn't aim a skill shot that thin. I'm thinking about putting work into her, but at the end of the day, it's kind of that Cassie thing. I'm just not passionate. I don't want to go down that road again with Falstad. I just don't want to play a bunch of a hero and then he gets changed. And I'm like, well, what did I do with my time? I want to keep playing heroes I love, and Jaina's well enough in that list.
And on such a unique hero, that skill set, what else is it going to apply to?
Right.
You really have nowhere else to go. I'm really enjoying supporting right now, but I refuse to play Ana. That's not my thing.
And to our detriment, there's a lot of Alex Straza players. There's a lot of Rhaegar, and countering those circle heals probably the easiest thing you'll do. But also catching an Ancestral. Whitemane has moments of high damage, and you can counter her heals pretty well. It's a good way to go.
Yeah, I like this. I like to see this. Even though I think on the support end of the spectrum, it was kind of mundane at the Western Clash. But we always talk about don't take esports, Heroes esports as 1-to-1. Don't just watch it and then be like, that's all right. This is the meta. This is what we go do. And I don't really like. For the most part, I don't think we do that as a player base. And the supports are such a good example of that.
Well, and take a game like Battle Right, which is a lot of fun on Steam. In fact, they're coming out with a Battle Royale mode to, kind of ride the wave. But it's a fun game, but there's a lot of homogenization in their characters. And people ask, how do I climb? What should I be playing? And on this show, if you just got a little upset, we were saying we're both not playing Ana, it's the home games, guys, and it's a ladder. You gotta have fun if you're doing it, otherwise you're gonna burn out.
Yes, it's up to you what fun is, right? Like at a certain point, for right now we're dealing with a new expansion in Hearthstone. The allure of new cards has worn off for me. I'm done losing. At a certain point, winning is what is fun for me. So if I get to the point where I'm just like, if we just had an Ana, I can increase my win rate by 20%. Guess what I'm going to be practicing. But I need to get to that point. It depends. It's I don't know, my mental fortitude at the end of the day.
Well, and something that, I mean, to give like actual fact to opinion, one of the main things that's stopping me from playing Ana right now is the quests. I don't want to play weird for a time period and then play normal.
Fair. We have
just
more
to grind up things.
More to say on that in just a moment. But anything else from this? Any other takeaways from Western Clash is that interested you?
It's good to be a Dignitas fan.
It's always good to be a Dignitas fan, Kyle.
They're good. It's nice to have a historied team that continues to do well there, and they're kind of my Super Bowl back pocket pick. I'll root for all the underdogs and be like, oh, come on, Team Freedom. But every time Dignitas wins, I'm like, and put back on that hat.
Fair. Speaking of quests, it's not the first thing up, but it was brought up in this interview. Friend of the show, TVK, sat down with Matt Villers and interviewed him mostly about Whitemane, but we got some pieces of information about other aspects of the design philosophy on the Heroes team. A lot of good stuff in here. I can't recommend enough going and reading it in full over at heroeshearth.com. But there's a lot I kind of wanted to pull out of here. First of all, just the kind of peek into the Whitemane we didn't get. I always love hearing about swings and misses and chances that were taken on the kits of heroes that never made it to the live game. And there's a lot of talk about the lack of Resurrect as far as Whitemane. Because, Kyle, if I told you, let's go in a time machine and go back a month and told you Whitemane's coming, what's her heroic? What would you say?
I would say it's not even the right hero. That she is maybe the level 10 that shows up to res your main hero and everything else in the dungeon.
Fair. Okay. I'm glad that's not what happened because I love her.
No, I don't even know that guy's name, honestly. I know Whitemane, I don't, because I wore her hat for so long.
Yeah. But on that subject, like basically Matt Villers confirmed, like, hey, it's Ariel has it. We got it. They did, however, experiment with Resurrect-esque effects. Apparently, one of those things they experimented with was a level 20 that didn't make it into the game that allowed her to resurrect spirits of fallen enemies, and they would have a timed life and bonus stats. Basically, you would resurrect them as an Abathur clone that they could control.
A cool idea. I mean, this is like that Death Knight ability where they'd come back as a ghoul for a little bit.
Yeah, actually, you stole the words out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, this would have been cool for a Death Knight hero. Might still
Did
be.
That cause problems? Because then they couldn't be battle res and you had to like wait for their ghoul to end or something?
I don't remember because we never really used it.
Yeah.
And eventually they changed it to a straight up battle res.
Yeah, they kind of passed those out like the heroism bloodlust kind of thing.
Yes.
Making sure everyone kind of shared those. Increase the raid options.
I haven't played it in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's still just a straight up battle res.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Yeah. Haven't played DK in a while, so don't quote me on that. But they said it was wildly inconsistent, and they said that, not only did someone have to die to get value out of this level 20 talent, they had to die before the healer, which, how often does that really happen if the opposing strategy is going according to plan?
Right, and then you think about the heroes that are even willing to die, and my list is kind of Tyrael Uther.
Those are heroes I'm seeing a ton of.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And also, then they do things when they're dead, and you res in the ghost location of the Tyrael, and then you have to wait through the whole Uther heal for him to be able to res, and it's messy.
Yep. They also tried a champion mechanic. They were calling it like a champion mechanic where they basically Whitemane would designate one ally as her champion and they would get some type of passive bonus. And then Whitemane could also channel to resurrect them. It almost sounds to me almost like a soul stone, like it had to be on them before they died. It's not verbatim Matt Viller's words, but that's the idea I was getting. But basically, it made Resurrect even more situational than Ariel's, which is a version that's already in the game. It doesn't see a lot of pick. But also the passive bonuses just didn't feel all that impactful.
It's definitely I'm actually heading over to look at Resurrect these days. Oh, wow. Popularity 9.8% on old Resurrect.
Mm-hmm.
That's 9.8% of Cho'Galls in the games.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And even then, it's only half health. Yeah.
And that's what, Matt Viller started to get into, was the overall challenge of Resurrect. And this is where he basically started talking about Ariel more than Whitemane, because we didn't get a Whitemane with a Resurrect, but it kind of explains why we didn't, which is it's too much value locked behind a highly situational talent.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned that, hey, death doesn't happen that often in Heroes of the Storm, which is something you don't really think about, because when you die, you feel it and you remember it. And it adds up, and it feels like there are a lot of deaths, but he's right. It is fairly infrequent. And when it does happen, it's a big deal, but it's not regular enough to really get value out of taking a talent that is only good when somebody dies.
Right. So much of like getting out of silver is just using abilities on cooldown, having more Phoenixes out of your Kael'thas than the enemy Kael'thas in that way. And an ability like this just won't see much use unless people are playing wrong, and then whoops. Yeah.
Moving away from Whitemane and into overall healer design, TBK asked how has healer design changed? And they said they basically want healers, players want opportunities to show off their mastery, and they don't just want to be playing whack-a-mole. Even though I think you rather enjoy that coming out of World of Warcraft, Kyle, but whack-a-mole can be fun.
Yeah,
it can be fun.
Nothing wrong with it.
Especially if you're playing whack-a-mole where you have to dodge.
Yeah, it's a little more busy, right? There's positioning and all that sort of thing.
Whack-a-mole combined with the floor is lava.
Yeah. I mean, granted, nowadays I'm all about the Disc Priest. I'm really enjoying that, and the idea. They've done so much, though, in World of Warcraft to make each spec dynamic. I love the idea on my Holy Paladin that my healing numbers are increased the closer I am to the target, which makes me in more danger. So they've found a good mix there.
Yeah. And Villers basically says that they want healers to be making decisions that have an impact on the outcome of fights. And that's what they've been chasing, and that's what they continue to chase. And I think that shows with their more modern healers. And Whitemane definitely is in that trend. But then quests got brought up, and this is what I was alluding to. And I really struggle to shorten this because it's really interesting. So I'm just going to read it verbatim.
Do it.
In regards to quests, Matt Villers said that when we first started doing quests, we got super excited for the possibilities, and there was this period where everybody had to have a quest. Looking back after 2 years of quest talents, we realized in hindsight that while quests can be super fun and add a lot to the game, there have also been a few cases where we've made something a quest just for the sake of having one. As we revisit Heroes for reworks, we're taking a very critical eye to questions like, does this talent really need to be a quest? Or are we just giving you busy work that's gating a fun mechanic? This particular quote will get used in Reddit very soon. And in some cases even, is this actually detrimental to how the hero plays? At this point, our focus is on quality over quantity. We want the quests we do have in the game to reward skill and alter gameplay in ways that feel meaningful and healthy. And if that means going back and cutting quests in some cases, we're okay doing that. For Whitemane, it felt like she had plenty of goals to focus on already without the added layer of trying to complete a quest, so we didn't think it was necessary to add any. In the future, you'll see other heroes who do have quests as well as heroes who don't, depending on what feels right for each one.
So we had quests as part of Phoenix, part of Maiev, part of Blaze, part of Hanzo, Alexstrasza, going back. But most recently, Deckard, Yrel, Whitemane, no quests.
Right.
So somewhere around that time, that philosophy changed. Granted, we haven't had an assassin. I mean, Blaze not exactly, out there for the big numbers, but still got some quests on him.
Yeah, I mean, Raynor and Asmodan rework, like they bake Asmodan's quest in. Now, I'm not saying like that's the turning point, but I can see a lot of conversation, a lot of soul searching about quests being had around Asmodan.
Sure. And Chromie getting reworked recently. Raynor certainly has his, but Seasoned Marksman has just been in this game since Alpha, and that's not quite. Level 1 quests seem a little different when they're not augmenting a play style. But that particular quote, is it busy work that's gating a fun mechanic? Reddit brought up Kharazim's insight that our support, sometimes our solo support, wants to go do camps for the whole beginning of the match because he's allowed to punch so thoroughly for extended periods of time.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've always been, I feel, the most skeptical person I know in regards to quests. So, did you do a little dance when you read this?
I think like changing the scaling, people are going to be drawn to certain heroes because of flavor, abilities, and play style. And whether or not they are late game heroes or early game heroes hasn't really made a big impact in how we draft. And there is a threat of overquesting where if you take too many heroes, granted, again, like you took Old Chromie and Kel'Thuzad and Alarak. Well, like that's not a reliable damage situation. We're all kind of hoping everybody hits the same thing, but really we're probably all aiming at different stuff, and Kel'Thuzad's going to move them halfway across the map with some chain, and Alarak's going to go, where'd it go? And that's the end. Nobody got any stacks for anything except for maybe Kel'Thuzad, if he was good enough, right? Because that skill floor. But I found it interesting that we could overquest, and that it may make the draft more interesting. But as the games goes on, we really, I think just as humans, we kind of lock into certain roles. We love certain heroes, and heckin' that's why I want to play that certain hero. That's why I play Here's the Storm, is so I can be, for example, someone out there, Tyrande. I want to be Tyrande every game ever. And you know what? Power to you. And I want to see what you can bake up, but also be cool with me wanting to run that second support too. Like we got to make those augments. So
yeah. When did we stop talking about drafting for game time? I feel like the only time we were talking about it was when Sylvanas was still seeing bans.
Yeah, we may start talking about it again here, but right now this is our like we just talked about double tank, double assassin happening in the pro scene, and that would be our at-home meta if we had enough players, and they'll come back eventually and our game will settle. Right now we're in solo tank. The first fight matters the most because people play this game to battle. Except for that one guy, and you know who you are, and you really like taking merc camps all day, and you should stop because the game's about battle right now, right? But like exactly, Garrett's waving his hand. That's a way to outplay, like what in your mind, why should we work so hard in this stupid battle when I can build a map advantage that actually has an impact that causes a strategical advantage when that first curse pops? And I agree with you. But right now we're in battle mode and we need to refocus, and you can't be seduced by those ideas.
Actually, I am with you, and I think Blizzard is with you because they let my Zagara do the most teamfight damage if I'm trying hard. And it's wonderful.
Sure. So I think as the map control gave way to levels, we're in a level-dependent victory, damage number victory kind of game setting right now in our home meta. And that doesn't need scaling. That doesn't need fancy tricks. That just needs 3 levels and you're a god.
It keeps things relatively basic. It makes it feel like a brawler. And it's funny because I rallied against the term hero brawler for so long. But there's Smash Brothers feeling to this game, and I really like it. I like the understanding that you need to have going into the game right now. A lot of it, you're right. At the end of the day, if you just play safe when you're at a level disadvantage and push the advantage when you're ahead, it's the most basic way to understand the strategy of this game at the moment. Then you can start talking about things like timings.
Well, and depending on our population, to use the Smash Bros. Analogy, we turn items off or on. Right now, items are off. You got to get in there. You got to know how to fight. You got to win. When items are come back on, you can hide until that tomato drops and you can get your health back up. You can go dodging under the level and then Pikachu dash back up just to avoid them for a little longer.
You're saying use movement cooldowns to be fancy?
Yeah, just get away, right? And hide it out and go take a merc camp, essentially.
Yep.
But that's not the meta we're in right now. So we don't draft for quests anyway, and I feel like we are working our way towards those. Some of the examples, and I'd love to hear from the chat as well, and any emails we get in future weeks, what quests you all feel are maybe detrimental to play style. Al was brought up.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, what'd you have?
I wanted the El Kel'Thuzad. Kill it with fire. I hate it.
I think that's a tough one because he is, outside of a Nubarak, Frostbro #1, such a cool guy in Warcraft 3, such an icon. And I feel gated from playing him because I don't want to bum myself out by not doing real good. It's basically Convection the character.
Yeah, I hate Convection. Both KTs, find something to do there. It's the worst.
There are people who enjoy that, and I'm glad they have a character for that. So maybe we don't need to worry about KT. I'm more concerned about things like Ana, that she is not peeling correctly, that she wants to sleep the tank, who's going to be hit in half a second, because she wants to get stacks for her gun. And while it doesn't feel too bad because the urgency of the game hasn't reached that peak, I think Muradin might be one of these because you just go out there and start stunning. And I mean, that's done. Like, if you're a Muradin player, you need to be done with that thing a lot faster than you're doing it. And that should be your entire focus in the early game. On such a short cooldown, you grind that out, and then you can get back to doing the stuff you should. Jump in the back line, stunning through a tank, hitting that assassin by surprise, hitting 2 assassins.
But isn't that at its core the issue with quests? Forcing a playstyle that is the wrong way to play so that you can play properly later on?
Yeah, with more power then. And I don't think Muradin is absolutely detrimental. You can still play even if you never finish this thing, but the goal is to hit your stun. What are you doing out there if you're missing your stun? It's kind of one of the weird things.
Because to me, I compare it to what you always talk, always. It's probably been years since you brought this up, but it used to come up a lot on the show, which is this thought of you can't take it with you. When one game is over and you move on to the next game, you're not level 20 anymore. You don't have all those talents. You need to adjust to playing at level 1 again and then moving back up through those power spikes. And to me, I don't see adjusting your play because you hit level 16 to be the same as adjusting your play because your quest is over. You shouldn't adjust your play because your quest is over. You should adjust your play because your quest, you've completed your quest. I don't know. It's like, I really hate, like in the case of Muradin, just blowing your stun cooldown to get your quest done. To me, it's counterintuitive and is not teaching any new Muradin player how to properly manage that cooldown.
Right. If you spend the whole early game just stunning Stitches, which I will suggest to you because he's the biggest, slowest target compared to Greymane who's rolling around, but your Whitemane gets sniped by Greymane, and you could have peeled for that if you had the cooldown. Now we're butting heads a little bit. But, the power feels good. And I wouldn't want to select those piercing talents. I really like it baked in. So maybe that works well. And to talk about heroes I do like, I feel like Alarak. His are optional if you want to do them, but they're great. You're going to do it anyway. You're there. You're not there to land your kind of lack of mobility silence on sweet ETC. It's got a short enough cooldown. You just do your combo, you get a stun, and you get a little bit of a bonus out of it. I feel like Hanzo's are pretty solid because they allow you to pick an early talent and then sort of gate that power going up without it just being like, No, it's Hanzo. No one cares. And whoa, level 4 Hanzo, what happened to me? Like, it kind of built over time. Jaina's Ice Block, I'm a big fan of. That rewards you. There's a clear 100% reward for being a good Jaina who farmed properly, and a Jaina who just didn't do a lot of damage over the course of the game.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're mostly on the same page, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think one of the weirdest ones is Thrall, because Thrall is restricted in his choice of lane and location by his quest pick. And if this Thrall has one main build, as often they do in our game, he'll say, I'm stacking mid, you go solo lane. It's like, well, choices are not really there, Thrall. Why don't you go off? And then you cut him of his power, his fun later on because of his talent pick at level 1.
It's fair. You're just creating a fight at that point.
Yeah.
Because Thrall has decent lane clear. And if you need to ask him to go cover a lane, he's not going to want to if he's questing.
We've also really moved away from talents that are just your thing now does X amount more damage. Congratulations on level 4. And that I'm happy with that. So quests like Hanzo's, like Alarak's, I think service that in a way more interesting way than just, you like casting scatter arrow, kid?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. You think the new hero will have a quest?
Are we due for an assassin? Maybe. I think they look good on assassins.
I think we are due for an assassin.
Yeah. Be a good time to add another flash to the pan.
Well, moving on. I know you wanted to highlight this. We're not really going to get into it, but there's a really interesting article over on Kotaku right now called "Big Data is the Future of Esports," and it gets into Dota 2 stats and the importance of it in pro gaming. And it is fascinating. But what I really like about it is it talks about the importance of being able to filter, about being able to look at statistics and differentiate it between professional play, at-home play, high-level at-home play, so on and so forth.
It's an interesting read. Certainly, if you enjoy a big crunchy article, take a look at it in our show notes. But there is a great tool that was just released. It looks like today. Yeah. Over on Hotslogs. They have their own talent calculator now.
Yeah, it's real good. It's solid. If you go to Hotslogs, right? We were not sponsored by them at all, by the way. We just like what they're making. But they have a talent calculator now, and as you click through talents, it adjusts the win rate. It also has a win rate listed underneath each talent overall. What I really like, and I'm probably use in the future just on the show, is the level slider. There's a level slider, and I was thinking to myself, why would I even want this? If you hover over a talent that has a specific damage amount associated with it, the slider will update it for whatever level you're currently on.
One of my favorite tools about this, and granted, it fails at level 20. You got to level 20, usually win the game. 60% chance you reach level 20, you're going to win. Because a lot of fights end that way. But on someone like Artandis here, you can actually go ahead of everything else and pick something like Titan Killer, where your basic attacks deal that bonus damage percent-based. And then it'll augment all the talents before it by win rate. So right now, let's say Triple Strike is at a 54% win rate. I grab up Titan Killer. That puts Triple Strike to a 57% win rate. And as I pick these talents in the higher tiers, I can actually build backwards and then go ahead and say, okay, cool. If I really like Triple Strike, I should definitely take my amateur opponent at 1.
With the asterisk of nothing's ever set in stone.
Absolutely. You may get to the late point and you're like, man, we're all dying like crazy. If only I had a spell shield of some kind. And then, of course, you augment your build because you're a good player.
I like this tool, and I like tools like this because it gets you thinking about why one talent is good because of another talent. It hopefully, if you're one of the types, and I do this too, especially when I'm getting on a new hero that I don't play very often. If you're the type that kind of just blindly takes a build and goes and plays because it's a top build and without really thinking about it, hopefully something like this just opens that door just a little bit to start thinking about why. Why is that build the most popular? Why are you taking, B talent at 7 because of A talent at 4?
Yeah, I mean, even just do your 10s. Do you have a heroic you love, and that's why you play that hero, but you're never sure as what level 1 to take? I mean, here's a good example on Varian. If you take the charge, guess what? Your level 1 High King's Quest goes up a lot because you're going to be connected, auto-attacking more often. And that may encourage you to do a better build despite something in your brain being like, I'm going to do an aggressive heroic, so maybe I should take Lion's Maw because I want to regenerate my health.
Yep. So if somehow you listen to the show and you're unfamiliar with HOTS logs, just go to hotslogs.com, and it's the talent calculator, which is linked under the Heroes tab. Go take a look and playing around with this. I like the work they're doing over at HOTS logs, so please go and check it out. Give them some support. So, other than that, I think it's about time for emails, which means it's about time to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN, where we are now back over our pro opinion goal, which means it's time to pick up the red phone that dials directly into Dunk Train's secret lair.
Awesome.
I'm hoping he actually has this. I don't think he does.
We should get him one. I mean, it's a USB phone these days. No one wants a real number.
So, Batman's, I guess the bat phone actually was just red. It didn't actually look like a bat, but Dunk Train's phone needs to have a beard on it or look like a beard.
I'm sure they have to make a train-shaped phone. You know they do.
Train-shaped? I'm sure they do. If we can find a train-shaped USB phone, that would be wonderful. So we'll be talking to him about getting him back on starting next month. In the meantime, we'd like to thank some of our newer patrons. Big thanks to Stephen J. Being after Stephen J is Stephen, no last name given, and Shermanator with a number 8 in there for a little bit elite speak. Thank you very much for your support. Very much appreciate it. So, anyways, let's move on to emails.
Darkness stopped calling.
I hear the wilds call. Wait, nature calls.
Okay, tell them I'm not here.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. Ray is going to kick us off this week, and Ray says, my question is, what are your thoughts on the importance of shot calling with voice comms? The reason this came to mind, and the reason I've started to shot call in my Hero League games, is I've started to watch a lot of streamers, specifically Bam Bam and Michael Udall. Even though Bam Bam doesn't shot call, he has spoken a number of times about the importance of it and how he wins more with Udall or Tiger JK on his team while they're doing it. Additionally, Udall hit rank 1 GM with 30,000 points last season. I know I'm not even close to that level, but since I've started, I've gone from about a 48% win rate in Gold 3 to a 71% win rate this season. You didn't tell me where you ended up, man. 71% win rate, that's really good. Where are you now? Tweet me. ITNcast. Anyway, so is this something you guys are doing or thought about doing? I know it would be difficult to do while streaming, Kyle, but wanted to get your thoughts anyway. It depends, is my answer.
It depends on the population, certainly in the draft itself. So often the tank player takes over this role. It's easy to just not shot call if there's a grumper in the voice chat or even in the written chat. This week, all my games have been very, very full, and there's been great discussion. In fact, that's what it is. We're all the same rank. There is no Grandmaster over another number on that screen. They're all Diamond 3s and whatnot. So it's a conversation in Diamond. I know shot calling in lower leagues is met with aggression often because that same problem. Hey, we're all diamonds. Hey, we all got here. Oh, isn't that great? Let's all agree. Like, yeah, that's more likely to happen than silver. Shut up. How? You're silver too. You suck as well. Like, that's just not fair. But those things do happen.
Yeah. I mean, so to me, it's just when I say it depends. I mean, there's so many factions like or factors. If I do shot call when the opportunity presents itself. Beyond the obvious of when people are actually in voice chat, because it doesn't happen every time. But also if someone else isn't shot calling. I've found myself in games where someone else just immediately started shot calling. Even before the game got started, they'd start talking about drafts. And especially if they're being courteous to other players when we're talking in draft about, asking, hey, what do you like? What are you good with? Okay, that looks good. Let's go. I just kind of defer to them. Because I think at my level, in Platinum, it's fine. I think if we're all on the same page, yeah, there might be a better strategy, a better call to be made, but if we're all on the same page, it's going to work out pretty well most of the time.
But here he brings up Mike Udall, who does 100%, give it his all shot call. And it's really an educational experience to watch and worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. And for Bam Bam, he plays a lot of Diablo. And this is something I'll say about playing support as well. It's very reactionary. Diablo doesn't really shot call like Johanna does because, Diablo sees someone against the wall. It's go time right now. And there wasn't a pre-plan to that particular engage.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know. Do you actively think? I don't actively think about it. I just kind of find myself in the situation and it begins.
Oftentimes the body language and positioning has already suggested an activity that would be detrimental to the actual shot call. Bottoms open, let's say, ready, straight to core. We won the team fight, and we're pushing top. Mm-hmm. We've already dismounted. We're already pushing top. Death timers are 30 seconds. There's no way we're going to mobilize all the way in the bottom and win the game. So we're going to go with where we're located. But in those times where we win the fight mid, that's when I shot call. That when there are choices to make and there is a efficiency we can get done on the map, particularly if there's been an issue with one or two players really loving soaking. That shot call's for them.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the type of person that I think takes into account kind of the social ramifications and being concerned with giving your team too much information or too many orders to the point of where it might be taken the wrong way. So I think kind of also thinking about reserving your shot calls, especially if you are not someone as well known as Michael Udall.
I would say outside of maybe Merc calls, certain lanes and forts and important stuff like that after a victory fight, my main shot call is fight. Fight, keep going. You don't understand that I'm going to res, or I have this ability that procs when I'm dead or whatnot. Those are the big ones worth shot calling because people are going to be scared. They see you get targeted down and you have your armor. You know that. And those sort of calls are way more. I have Ancestral. Ancestral's ready. Those are the right types of calls for Hero League that I would definitely put effort into getting good at. Now, I also co-stream nowadays. Kristen co-streams with me, manages the chat while I play the game. It's the game takes a lot of effort, and being dyslexic as well, I really appreciate her being here, helping me read the chat and actually making the show interactive. My shot calls often have a screaming Kristen in the background. So I wonder what the effect of that is, as people are like, what's with this? There's two voices on this guy's mic.
Well, once you consistently become the number one Heroes of the Storm streamer, eventually people will just be like, yes, I'm on Kyle's stream.
Yes, that's Kristen in the background. She's stoked for us.
Kill him! Great. Stim Sheep is next. Stim Sheep writes, I was listening to the last episode and heard you briefly mention a League of Legends player that said they casually play Heroes because there were too many maps. I have personally thought this was an issue and continues to be an issue. I know this is always a long-standing discussion. However, what are your thoughts about ranked mode, maybe further limiting the map pool, or in Team League allowing map bans? Personally, I am still having difficulty with All Direct Pass and have yet to log a win. The map has me baffled on rotations, when to take the camp, when should I back, can I cap the objective, wait, the objective timer increases, all sorts of things that have timings I have on other maps all thrown off. Part of me thinks go back to Dota, but that takes too long to play. Any thoughts? We're having a lot of conversations about queue length right now. I don't think being able to make your own personal playlist is going to help at all.
No.
So no, I just don't think giving us the control over the maps will ever work for Heroes of the Storm. I think it's always going to fall with the Heroes team, and I think we just need to ask them to become comfortable with making it a much smaller map pool.
Yeah, as to your Alterac Pass comment, you may mean prison camps instead of normal camps, and that could be misread here. But as for taking a camper on Alterac Pass, don't even bother. Like that is the least manageable, least important camp, perhaps in the entire game. It's a choice. Clearly, they're saying, hey, we got rid of the ammo thing. Mercs are out, and also here's a new map where mercs are very unimportant.
Yeah. I know, it's strange. I've been really enjoying getting Zagara on there, by the way.
Yeah.
It's finally happening again, and people are stoked on it because Zagara has a good win rate, but she's not at the tip top, so I'm not fighting for Zagara. Ooh, she feels really good on that map.
Well, just also in a pushing kind of way, the creep there, the back and forth if you have to retreat. Well, guess what? You have an advantage on your retreat. We work ourselves forward on Zagara, summons, whatnot. Like, that sounds really good on that map.
It's gross. If I could just play that every game for like a full day, I'd be okay with that.
So here's the big question. Let's go down to 3. 3 is a great video game number. What 3 maps?
Dragonshire.
Oh.
Just classic.
Sure.
Cursed Hollow. Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Ah. Interesting. What is a Zagara player?
You can tell, can you? I would say Cursed Hollow probably the least arguable map.
Sure.
That is the hero's equivalent of our Dota map.
Yeah. I agree with you.
What about you?
It's not easy to do. I was impressed with how fast you went. I definitely agree with Cursed Hollow. I love Infernal Shrines for flavor and just the battle pit. And I think I don't think Full Sky is bad, but I'd give the spot to Towers of Doom for its Reno-like play style.
That is hard to argue with. To explain my picks, I think Cursed Hollow is the correct answer. Dragonshire is the Blizzard answer. And Tomb of the Spider Queen is my personal I will fight you to the death over pick.
And that'd be my Infernal Shrines, right? Just enjoy the way the map mechanic works, the way our heroes participate in it.
Right.
I am so ready to be done with Sky Temple. I'm doing great there, by the way. I put a lot of work into it in previous seasons to watch some replays and get better. I just do not like seeing that Anubis come up on my screen.
Yeah, it's just it's a little much. It's a little much, but yes, them sheep. Overall, I'm with you. I think both of us last week when we mentioned that article are on the same page. But as for letting us ban, I don't like that. I don't think it's going to help the queue conversation that we're having right now.
No, but I don't think going back down to 3 is a bad idea, and I certainly don't want to get back to mid-season map rotation changes because. Yeah, what happens then? Like the season starts and you're like, oh, it's my 3. This is my time to shine. And they put Sky Temple Battlefield Journey back in. Oh, no. Now I take a break. But those other people are like, that's my time to shine. It's cool. It's a cool idea from a full season perspective. But Zagara Main here doesn't want to miss out on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I don't want to rob that from you either. So
listen, I wouldn't mind it if it was Infernal Shrines. I like Infernal Shrines a lot. Like, it's funny you say Zagara main. It's been like a 2-week thing for me. Like I've been off Zagara for a while, but she is back now, and it feels good.
Well, and I'm last week I was talking about Hanzo, and now I'm talking about Jaina. We all ride the waves here. They're big crashing waves in Heroes of the Storm, and you have to adapt or die, Zerg style.
And my waves are currently purple and extremely viscous.
Mine are icy and dreadlordy.
I'm really hot on Jaina right now too. She's seen a lot of pics from me. It's that I'm not sure. I don't know. What do I pick here? Is Jaina the correct answer? Probably.
Do you want to fight Jaina? It's kind of my problem.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. And the answer is no.
Nah, I'd rather not. Do you want to fight Cassia? No, but chances are no one plays Cassia. It's fine. It's good. Just skip that.
And if I'm on Jaina against the Cassia, cool. I could have been Raynor.
It didn't matter, right? I'm not countered.
I could have been Raynor against the Cassia.
Yep, poor Raynor. He's not the hotness he was.
He's getting beat up.
Yeah.
He's getting hard countered. Farrell is our next email. Farrell writes in and says, what if they use the same reward system in Hero League that they use in Overwatch? You get points based on the highest rank you received and get a few points per win. That way, everyone can work towards rewards at the end. I get my golden guns in Overwatch a little bit faster than my friend, but he still gets them. Maybe you can exchange these points for a master skin type reward, bring back master skins, which I think people miss, and I think will have more of an impact than the old system of master skins. Just like I have golden guns on Pharah and Reinhardt because they are my two most played characters, and I had to grind out those points over multiple seasons and made the golden gun I purchased more significant. Farrell has a point.
That's a big psychological deal, I think, right now, is, the alpha players. Granted, we're also called whales because we've soaked up everything that's come out free. Our accounts are bloated. And what rewards you when you lose a game? And I feel like World of Warcraft has found this well, of course. I mean, granted, looking for group, you just raid, you just blaze through it. It's not the hardest thing in the world either. The game's gotten simpler in that way, but usually you walk out with something, if not some points towards something. You're not sitting there being like, my repair bill was the worst thing on earth, and I was.
You don't really lose World of Warcraft either. It's kind of just a patience. If you lose anything in World of Warcraft, you lose your patience and you quit.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But gone are the days of at least the casual players' repair bill being a punishment because the run went bad.
Right. So WoW at a point rewards you just for putting in the effort.
Yeah.
Just put in the effort. And this system does give you an avenue to that. It's just that you don't have to put in as much effort if you play well.
Maybe.
Well, you get more points by placing higher, whereas like if you place lower but you just keep playing, you'll still get points and eventually get whatever it is you're saving up for.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So I don't hate it. It's just that I feel like psychologically it's going to cause even more rage.
Yeah.
I mean, we just last week talked about how they're going to get rid of promotion to motion games within a single league.
Totally.
And the whole thing there is to relieve anxiety, right? So I could there's an argument for this entire system creating anxiety because you want the space points, so you want to place higher. This is a team-based game. We're already blaming our teammates at every bend, which happens in Overwatch, and this seems to be working fine for them. So there's a counter argument.
It's true. Give us the shards.
Give us the shards.
Give us the shards.
Just give us shards.
The tasty Doritos, give them up. It's put a price tag on everything and let us unlock anything. I think that's what we're talking about, master skins here, right? Like there's, at least when you lose, there's got to be something to look forward to. I think the golden gun thing is a really cute idea. I think it hits its wall eventually, as master skins did, and you find something else to let people grind for. But those incentivizations are very important.
Yeah. The thing is, it's just the incentivizations are odd. You need to find. I feel like it needs to be something unique, like the golden system in Overwatch is. It's not something you can get through loot boxes, because Overwatch, much like Heroes, is chock full of things to unlock and rewards to get. So it's like maybe the Master System, but we had that already, and also there are so many skins. What if you like that paid skin better? Which for me is going to be the answer with anything that's like Warcraft themed. I love all the Warcraft skins for every single hero in the game. If they've got a Warcraft skin, I've got to have it. That being said, few master skins like my Arthas one, it means a lot to me because it's like, yeah, that was one of the first heroes that I really grinded out. And yeah, also Tyrande, who I never play anymore. So that one's kind of wasted. But I don't know what the carrot on the end of the stick is.
Me neither.
And personally, I don't think just currency is all that exciting.
No. Loot boxes, though, not right for long-term players.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I say keep the mounts in Team League and just get. Or no, I don't even know. Like, do we? Because last week the whole conversation was about Team League incentivization. So I don't know. Is it just like just give them out to everybody who finishes their placements at this point?
I appreciate Farrell presenting us with new information.
Yeah.
And we move on.
Final email today comes to us from Cliff. Cliff says, I wanted to share a life hack that someone mentioned one day in the A-Move TV chat channel. Problem. After dealing with a toxic, trolling, or ill-tempered player, it can be incredibly demoralizing to queue up, and when the draft screen appears, you see that you have been teamed up with them yet again. Game feature being used in the hack. Whisper chat channels. When you whisper someone in the game, they pop up in the window of your chat interface under whispers. Beside their name is their current status. Utilization. After having a bad game experience with a particular player, click on the cogwheel next to their name and select Whisper. This will place their name in the light purple in your chat and ready you to send a message. In all caps, I'm not going to yell, you do not have to send a message. They appear in your chat channel listing under whispers just from choosing chat from the cogwheel as well as their status. You now know if they are available offline or in-game and can decide if you'd like to go ahead and queue up again or wait for them to enter another game or go offline before deciding to push forward. It has saved my sanity many times after a particular toxic experience. I did not know you could do this. This is also not an experience I have had in a very long time.
It is a frequent experience, and I use this trick rather often right now because the population's low. So whisper trick is what we call it in my neck of the woods. This cog works as well as you can do /W and then enter their name if they're on the enemy side, because you can no longer whisper the enemy side, which is always healthy. You'll see them right there above your chats and your friends and whatnot. Watch them in game. They're in draft. You're good to go. And you can move on. And because they get out of the game at the same time, the population's low, chances are very high they'll be in your next game. And you need to break that rhythm sometime. Also, not a bad idea to take that break.
Fair. Well, thank you for sharing the tip, Cliff. Keep those emails coming, itncast@gmail.com. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you again, everybody, for listening. Huge thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/ITN. By the way, the reason that we jumped up so far is that patron Rins changed their pledge. It is now one of our producers. So we now have 4 producers in total. Thank you to Declan H, Cheesy Bob, Pythagos, and Rins. Thanks again to Rins, because now we are once again over our pro opinion goal. If you enjoy Into the Nexus, if you want to help us stay over that goal and pay other contributors to come on the show and share their knowledge with us, head on over to patreon.com/ITN. We very much appreciate it. Other than that, we have swag available. You can get the Into the Nexus t-shirt over at shirts.amove.tv. We have coffee mugs, pint glasses, wine glasses, all custom etched over at etched.amove.tv. You can catch us live Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Come join us live, chat in the chat room at twitch.tv/AMoveTV. But other than that, Kyle, you do all sorts of other stuff, a lot of hero streaming, but a lot of other streaming as well. Where can everybody find you?
Let's talk about one of those other streams this week, as it is tomorrow, Friday, at noon Pacific. Both Garrett and I are joining Scott Johnson for a little bit of World of Warcraft streaming.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't have a name yet. We don't have anything clever. We're gonna start slaying things together. It's going to be fun.
No need to get fancy. We all want to play some World of Warcraft in a structured environment with me healing, with you tanking, Scott blowing things up. It's going to be a good time. Join us tomorrow.
What level are you at, Kyle?
113.
114.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah. Wait, hang on.
I'm usually max level by now.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I'm usually max level by day 3. But Yeah. Turns out being an adult is a thing.
It has an effect, yeah.
Yep. But whatever the case is, I do other stuff around the web. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. All of the other podcasts are at amove.tv. And if you'd like to hear some WoW talk, besides the stream, which you should check out tomorrow, but Kyle and I have a morning show on Mondays. It's a very nerdy morning show. It is called Week Sauce. It is all one word, W-E-E-K, spelled like days of the week. Sauce, again, all one word, no space. Go and subscribe to that because lately we have been talking a ton of World of Warcraft. So if you like Kyle and I, and if you're listening to this, I would say you don't have to listen to us if you don't like us.
If you made it this far and you stuck around for the ending here, you should check out Weak Sauce.
Yeah, that's really, if you made it, yeah. It's going to be your thing. It's going to be your jam. So go listen to that. Listen to us talk WoW. I assume more WoW talk this Monday. But we help you start your week off with a big dose of nerdy news. So go and listen to that. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. Thank you again, everybody. We'll see you next week. Good luck. Have fun.
Take care.